They had absolutely no information pertaining to this case.
I thought not, Watson. It appears that we've wasted our time.
This is Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective Volume 2, released in 1992 for Sega CD. It is the second game in the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective line of full-motion video games, of which there were a total of 3 games, including a third title that was exclusive to MS-DOS and Mac OS. Now, we sampled the first game a long time ago, which is a collection of 3 cases that you could presently purchase on Steam separately, with much higher video quality, of course. But this was actually one of several CDs that came included with my purchase of the Genesis CD-X hybrid console, hence why I even had a copy of this thing in the first place. And at the time I thought, some lightweight video fodder with little in terms of actual interaction, but I did enjoy the performances for what they were, so no real harm. With that in mind, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective Volume 2, which, as of this recording, has not seen a Steam re-release, and honestly, I don't think it's going to happen if it hasn't happened already. They would have done all 3 at the same time, but I digress. So this is best described as more of the same as the first game, giving the player 3 individual cases to tackle: the 2 lions, the murdered munitions magnate, and the pilfered paintings. The last one so massive it needed its own CD. And you must attempt to solve the case by uncovering clues through video clips played when visiting various locations, as well as referencing research materials such as the London Times and other things. And once you've accumulated enough evidence to solve the case, usually entailing visiting a few key suspects vital to the mystery, you can present your findings to the court, where you'll be asked a series of multiple choice questions to prove your theory. Answer these questions correctly and you solve the case. Answer these questions incorrectly and you're back on the street to try again. So we've got a second dose of Consulting Detective materials for Sega CD, which comes in 2 compact discs, which is 1 more than what the first game got. We also have the benefit of a boxed copy of the game. Not sure if I call this complete in box, and certainly it's seen better days, but it did come with an instruction manual, which is nice, and also a printed copy of the Times, the very same publication you're tasked with referencing for your clues in the game. It's not much, but it is a nice little touch that you don't often see with these console releases at the time, but used to be something of an art form with the old big box PC releases, where they'd include a bunch of reference material, back when that was part of the overall package and not just something tossed in as a premium for a limited edition flex to add a few dollars to the price tag. But I digress. The format of Consulting Detective Volume 2 remains the same as the previous game. You pick a case, you're given a video introduction with Holmes and Watson setting up the story, and from there we move on to the main menu where you have access to your address book, archive of newspaper clippings, and other assorted tools of the trade. This is where you'll be spending most of your time in Consulting Detective, aside from watching the various videos or reading the appropriate texts in order to uncover clues. From this screen, you could access the London directory, which contains all the locations you could visit, the times where you could read through various clippings of the esteemed publication, send one of the Baker Street irregulars to get you information that normal means wouldn't reveal, gather notes in your notebook, and go to various locations in your carriage. The whole thing is essentially a point-and-click adventure game, except without the adventure. Gameplay primarily revolves around looking at text boxes and watching videos in hopes of uncovering clues that will lead you closer to the solution to the case, and not much else, I'm afraid. Naturally, the overall objective is to gather enough clues to solve the mystery at hand, but the true goal of the game is to do so in the least amount of points. For every move you make in Consulting Detective, whether it be going to a location to interview a potential subject, sending one of your regulars to gather intelligence on your behalf, even looking up notes in the Times, those are points added to your tally. And so the idea is to solve the mystery in the fewest moves possible. And while one might be tempted to go online, look up the solution, and go straight to court, you actually do need to make a key number of visits at minimum before you're even allowed to solve the mystery. Holmes may be a master sleuth and occasional coke addict, but he is no android. A lot of Consulting Detectives' legwork is based on watching the little videos play out and also doing some reading through the various resources that you have at your disposal. There's very little in terms of action for the player to do beyond moving a cursor around, pressing a button, looking up directories. You get the idea. Now, if you're willing to play the game as it's intended to be played, It's fairly competently executed for the most part, but what each mystery boils down to is some locations have a video performance related to the mysteries while others have stock video of Holmes and Watson complaining about time wasted here.
I can't believe we came all this way when there are more important things to pursue.
Indeed, Holmes. I don't know what got into us.
Which of these locations are the bare minimum you need to visit before you're allowed to solve the mystery, and which of these are purely optional, and which of these are worthless? That's the only real kicker here. But there's also the matter of the fact that this is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective Volume 2, which is a follow-up to Volume 1. Other than the included mysteries, both games play exactly the same way, which means if you've sampled the first volume of mysteries and didn't really care for it, there's no reason whatsoever for you to waste time on Volume 2 because it's exactly the same game. Only difference is that there's new video for a new set of mysteries, and once again, there's the matter of the extremely limited replay value, as your only real motivation for replay play is trying to achieve a better score, and all that means is a different congratulatory message on the final score tally. And as far as the new video is concerned, well, once again, we're playing this on Sega CD, and so everything is played out on a tiny display through fairly grainy video, which is par for the course when it comes to these full-motion video games on this platform. The cast from the previous volume returned for the second foray, and once again, I found them generally entertaining enough. Again, the acting's fairly passable, the sets look decent enough, maybe a couple cringe moments here and there, but there's enough to keep one interested in the story, which is key to the mystery. The in-game graphics where you're navigating your directories and such comprise a fairly basic, somewhat straightforward menu layout that's easy to navigate. When reading the clippings, the type is at the very least clean enough that you could get some semblance of information out of it. Other than that, there's not much else to say. It's neatly organized, I guess. It's not rubbish looking. I've got nothing else really. The only real weakness in the package is in sound, or at least the lack of it. A lot of the audio bits comes from the videos and the story unfolding within, and the quality is about as well as you'd expect from the Sega CD. Not high quality, but still clean enough that it's audible. Outside of that, there's only a handful of sound effects that play during the actual game, mostly occurring when you're clicking on things. Also lacking is music, with only a couple jingles playing at most during some of the videos. So it's a very quiet game, accompanied by the eternal damnation of faint white noise playing in the background. Overall, if you enjoyed the previous Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective entry on either Steam or Sega CD or wherever they released it for a bunch of platforms, then Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective Volume 2 offers more of the same but with new cases and not much else. Likewise, if you didn't care for the previous entry and you prefer a little more adventure in your point-and-click adventure games, then there's little in this entry that will change your mind, as again, it's just more of the same. This is ultimately a very niche product that, while entertaining enough with its video bits, may not appeal to anyone but those who enjoy obscure FMV stuff or anything involving Sherlock Holmes, I imagine. I liked it well enough for the short while that I was engaged, and I did get a kick out of the little times clipping that came in the box. I dig that sort of thing. But once you're done here and you've completed all that there is to complete, there's no reason to come back for seconds. Oh well. Good night.